Good evening, everyone. I have 6:02 and a quorum of voting commissioners, so I will open up tonight's Mashpee Conservation Commission meeting for Thursday, August 10th, 2023. We're meeting tonight in the Wacoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North. This meeting will be broadcast live on local cable channel 18 and also streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website. Before I do begin tonight's meeting, if you would like to join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you. Just want to take a minute to wish those residents here in Mashpee that were suffering after the last storm that we just had. I know I was one of them pushing water out of the basement. I hope everybody made out okay, and tonight we're going to have another go around. I hope it's a little bit easier. So, before we do begin, the first agenda will be public comment. If there's anybody here or online that would like to address the commission on a subject that is not listed on our agenda this evening, this would be the time. No? We're good here? Nobody online, Dan, that wants to speak? That was an easy one. Thank you. On our pre- and post-hearing agenda items, we have 2 sets of minutes for approval. The first set of minutes is July 13th, 2023. Commissioners that would be voting on that would be Paul Colombo, Stephen Cook, Aaron Copeland, and Sandra Godfrey. Did you all have ample time to review that file, the draft? Any questions or concerns about what we have there?
No.
Okay. Hearing none, I would accept a motion.
So moved.
For the minute. Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Motion made and seconded for accepting that set of minutes. Any further questions, discussions on the motion? No? Okay, I take a vote. Steve?
Yes.
Thank you. Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That motion carries, so those minutes will be on record. The second set of minutes is our last meeting, July 27th, 2023. And we do not have a quorum of commissioners present tonight that are eligible to vote on those. So I would accept a motion to table that to our next meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none. Steve? Oh,
Yes.
on the motion, yes. Go. Thank you. Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy? I vote yes as well. So we'll take that up at our next meeting. I'm going to hold on the discussion and go to our first hearing for tonight. Unless, Dan, is there something pressing on the updates that you wanted to talk about prior to? You can't wait until we end, or?
Nope, not really.
So
We
we're-
had Chop Shake Bog, DEP, they changed the status of the bog to not a river. So
Okay.
that's a good thing. And then the Red Brook Culvert, we're pursuing a grant that's being applied for this Monday.
Okay, great. And we can revisit that after the hearings if need be. Okay, calling the first hearing for tonight, 6 o'clock hearing for 53 Lakeview Drive, Kenneth E. Marsters II, proposed construction of an in-ground pool, landscaping, and hardscaping. Representative is Prime Properties Limited Partnership. This hearing is being continued from June 29th and July 13th. It is an amended order of conditions, DEP file number 433103. Do we have someone to? Good evening. If I can have your name and address for the record, and then we can begin.
Marsters first, most important one.
First.
Sorry about that. It's 77 Bay Shore Drive in Mashpee. So I think before we start to talk about the amended
Oh, time out.
No. Okay. The amended condition, I just wanted to just go over what we've done for, the last time I was here. Did a terrible job with the siltation fence, and we were told to fix it. And that's why we continued it into the next in the meeting, because it took us a while to do what we did. And I see you have the pictures up there. I mean, I brought pictures, but I think those pictures probably suffice to say that I think we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish with what we did by using the tar paper, which restricts the flow of sand. We used 3/4 stone, and we regraded 3/4 stone to reduce the velocity reduction of the flowing water. And I don't know if you have a copy of one of the plans where, oh yeah, the top right-hand corner there, that's a jute mix. So we planted the grass seed and the native grass seed and the regular grass seed, and we put the jute mix on top of it, so it will heat up the grass and hopefully grow it better. And we had that incredible amount of rain 2 days ago. And, you know, I was up all night just praying to God that what we did was right. And, you know, I don't know if we got any, we may have been a minuscule area, but not much. I mean, it held tight. It held tight. And I actually have pictures of, and I won't show them because I have so many of them, but pictures of those little gullies right in there. Those retain the water. So the water was being retained, and then it was going out slowly off the site. So the plan, put a lot of time, a lot of energy into it, very professionally done, worked with that rainstorm. So I think it's going to hold up on just about any rainstorm we have on from here on in. And I think Dan was out there today to observe it, yeah.
Yeah, it looked fantastic. This rain really didn't do any erosion over there. It was nice to see.
Yeah, it's, it held up really well. Yeah, okay, awesome. Thank you. So I guess if that's all set, and you know what? We were down there yesterday to see if there was anything wrong, and we did put some more, you see additional fabric there. So it held up, but just to ensure that if it happens again, we have more fabric down there right now. So we monitor that after every significant rainstorm. And we didn't get any breach of sand through it. The siltation fences were awesome. So that's an ongoing project for us. We're not going to walk away in every meeting. We're going to keep our eye on it every meeting, okay? So what I think what we're here to do tonight is to amend the order of conditions to put in a pool. You can see where the proposed pool is. That proposed pool is 8 feet into the buffer zone. It's tough to see that little sliver where it's the 40 and the 20 up the top on the side right there. Yeah, the 40, that little sliver in there. That would be into the buffer zone. And that's about 160 total square feet into the buffer zone. Now, the house on the left-hand side, you can see, is about 17 feet into the buffer zone, which is 195 feet. So not only does the pool go in slightly, but the house even went even further. So we're asking to be able to put that pool in there, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. And you can see where the 50-foot line is, the blue line from the wetlands. So we're going into the pool, that 8 feet, we're 92 feet from a wetland. And we wanted to push it, we were thinking pushing it a little closer. Of course you want to push it closer. If I had my way, I would have pushed it closer so I didn't have to be here tonight. Don't take that personal. But if we did, it would get too close to the porch, and to me that was to the deck, and it just, it's dangerous. You know, it's just too dangerous. I think somebody might want to, when I'm not there, somebody else could jump in. I just don't want that to have happen. So that's why we situated it the way we did. We built a deck and said, ooh, you know, we can't have it this close as we thought we could have it. And I also think further on down the line with the hardscape there and all that, that will be better for erosion control because we can pitch all that water to drains, you know, and pitch it all back into the area, which is patio. So I think it's a long-term good plan for the drainage.
Okay, anything else, or we're good?
I think that's pretty simple. I don't know if I missed anything, tell me.
All right, I'm going to open it up to the commissioners for questions and
Sure.
comments, and
Yeah.
we'll just take it from there. So I'll ask the commissioners that are present first. Steve, anything that you would like to?
Yeah, it sounds like the applicant did a good job with the erosion control, so I'm happy to see that. And, everything else, all the planting mitigation, for the new hardscape going in there, I think it will work well. Yeah, I have no objection to it.
Okay. Aaron, any issues, questions, comments?
No, my only comment would be, I think I understand your concern about the pool being too close to the deck and someone maybe jumping off, and, I still feel like you could get it a little bit closer in, but, I don't have any major problem with it. My folks had a pool right up against the back of their house. Nobody ever jumped off the deck, but just,
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I comment on that, Paul? Or?
Sure.
I would have thought the same thing too, but when I was at the deck, I said, if we move, it's almost hittable right now. That's the problem, So we didn't magically come up with 8. I came up with a good little squat jump. That's why we came up with 8, Aaron.
Carrying along on that same topic, could you slide the pool, you got 10 feet on that patio. Could you slide the pool over 4 or 5 feet and then come back a few feet to get out of that buffer zone? I understand your comment about being too close to the house, somebody be tempted to dive off the deck. But if you kick the pool over a bit away from the house and then back a bit, you'd get that corner out of the buffer zone, and you would also achieve having the pool further away from that proposed deck. You wouldn't have to be tremendous shifting, but it would be enough to get it out of there.
Could you show me what exactly the shift is, Dan?
Right there on the 20-foot line, Dan,
Yeah.
if you went from that 20-foot side of the pool and brought it back, reduced the 10 feet to, let's say, 6 feet, that would give you getting the whole pool away from the deck, and then kick it back a few feet, and then now the whole thing is out of the buffer zone. And it's further away from the house. I mean, it's a shift, it's not a big shift, but it's enough to get it out of the buffer zone, and it's enough to get it further away from the house.
I have two
Go ahead.
questions on
Yeah.
that. So if we wanted the pool moved, wouldn't we ask the applicant back like 2 meetings ago to make the change?
We never went ahead with any of the proposed work because of the violations that were on the site
Okay,
with
all right, so that answers
with
that
the
question.
erosion.
Then the other thing, even if you move the pool, you still have the retaining wall and patio that's still in the buffer zone. So what's the difference between the retaining wall, patio, and the pool?
That's true. Yeah.
To me, it's either, okay, it's gonna be there, or it's gonna be totally out.
Yeah.
Because it's still structure, it's still hardscape, but,
Mm-hmm.
there's mitigation, so. That's why, I agree with you, yeah, if you could stay out of the 50-foot buffer, it'd be great, but I don't see how you can do that unless you put it like a little, tiny pool in there and small walls, and you stay right along the buffer zone.
Yeah.
That's a big change.
Yeah. All right, just a thought.
Yeah.
Anything else, Aaron? No? Sandy, how about you?
Just something, I noticed you said you're going to be putting in lawn, an irrigated lawn. Have,
In the backyard? We have 1,428 square feet of lawn back there. I'm not going to put lawn back there.
okay,
No irrigation. If anything, it will be like an AstroTurf or something, which will have drainage. It will go down to a drainage, because the last thing I want to do is, it'd be impossible for me to get like a lawnmower down there. It's just the grade.
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, that's something that we will not do lawn. And that can go on the amended
like a
order too.
Pollinator gardeners.
Yeah.
or
Just saying.
clover, or-
Yeah, something not long.
So, no Okay.
Well, I would like a little bit of a yard, so I would like, that's why I'm talking about that, the artificial grass, which will be pitching towards the middle of the, and it looks green. But no real lawn, that doesn't make, it doesn't make sense. So there'll be no fertilization down there. No fertilization, no lawn at all in the backyard at all.
No, it just didn't say it in his.
Oh, it sure didn't, no. And I didn't make that decision on the fly, we should have said it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else, Sam?
No.
Alex, I know you came in late, but if there's something you would like to ask a question about?
Just so I'm hearing you correctly, the area that you're saying that is green that says lawn, you're going to put AstroTurf there?
AstroTurf is something, it's synthetic grass. I would like to.
And isn't that typically put over like concrete?
No, it would be put over sand.
You'd put it over sand?
We put it over sand, yeah.
Is it pervious?
Yeah. Huh?
Is it pervious?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So taking away vegetation and putting in plastic in the buffer zone? That's what you're
Yeah,
proposing?
pretty much, yeah. Taking away a real lawn, right, a seeded or sodded lawn of 428 square feet, and putting in what they call it, an artificial turf.
It's true, but I don't know.
Yeah, you'd bypass any fertilizer.
I don't know that I can morally get behind that one, but
Yeah.
you're right, you wouldn't fertilize it.
And it's also something that I can pitch to the middle of the lawn, versus if I did the natural grass, it would have to be even, follow the contour of the land, which is probably pitching down a little bit, as you can see.
Anything else? What can you tell me about the black corrugated pipe that's on top of the retention wall? It looks like it's in preparation for some kind of drainage, but both times that I've been on the site, nobody's been able to explain how that's all going to pan out.
Is it connected, or is it just extra
It's
pieces?
just a pipe sticking up, a couple of them, wasn't it?
Plastic.
2 or 3.
Oh, those are probably my dry wells.
So that pipe is going to be reduced down to
Yeah.
surface level?
Goes into my
It's gonna have
dry well
some kind of a
system.
cover on it, and
Yeah, right. And there are little, if you notice, I thought you were talking about, Paul, the little peepholes that we have through the wall. There's little pipes
No.
going through the wall, and that's so the walls don't break down.
right.
Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
was talking about that.
Yeah, that's
corrugated.
probably my
Okay.
my extensive runoff system.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners? No? Let me go out to those in attendance that would like to question or comment on the project. No one? Okay, we're good there. Dan, I'm going to come over to you for any comments that you might have.
The only first comment I have is the pool utilities. They're not on this, the utilities for the pool, the pumps and everything. Where would those be on the plan? I'm sorry, let me pull that up.
Give me to the back. They would be, where would they be, Kenny? Right where it says patio? Yeah, right where it says patio.
Okay, so it's out of the buffer zone.
Oh, way out of the buffer
Okay,
zone.
that's
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
wanted to
yeah,
make
it's up-
sure
yeah,
of
it's
on
up
that.
against the house, right against, like
Okay.
hidden by the stairs, yeah.
All right. So, yeah, that was my only concern with this. I think the mulch area behind the retaining wall is absolutely essential.
Yeah.
I know you said you have weep holes going in, but anything that's going to allow for the water to permeate down through that
Oh, yeah.
retaining wall.
When
essential.
we fully landscape, there'll be mulch. There'll be
All right,
mulch.
good.
There'll be sand, mulch.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very important,
So it will permeate through, yeah.
All right. Yeah, and then the rest of the project for me looks pretty solid, especially with all the erosion control.
Thank you.
The BVW is now protected, and the path as well is protected. So that was pretty much huge for me.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so property owner has addressed all the erosion and runoff issues at the site. It may be necessary to incorporate a low-profile retaining wall as part of the hardscaping to ensure all the soils are adequately stabilized prior to planting. Proposed pool and patio meets performance standards for bordering vegetated wetland as it is outside the 50-foot setback. Agent recommends approval with condition of a 3-year signed contract for monitoring and maintenance of all mitigation plantings. So that's where I'm at.
I'm just looking at the Board of Health comments. Okay. A couple of last questions. It's a freshwater pool, correct? or saltwater?
Saltwater.
It's saltwater, okay. In terms of the maintenance, I know we've talked about, pumping into a truck and getting out of there, so is that the plan? For a
Yeah, so-
drawdown on the pool?
On our orders of conditions for pools, we basically have a condition that's pretty much blanket. There can be only drawdown by truck, especially in this case where, you're so close to the vegetation area. And also never to be draining into a wetland. I know it sounds a little bit obvious
do
to say,
that.
but you'd be surprised at what we do. So those are two conditions
I
that
understand
would
the
be
rules.
on there.
Yeah.
So we just want to make that
Yeah,
clear.
no, nope.
All right.
Play by the rules.
So that we don't need to condition that in, that's boilerplate?
Yep, that's already.
Okay.
yep.
Okay, so we're good then? Nothing else? All right. I'll accept a motion if there is one, and we'll take it from there.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion for 53 Lakeview Drive, Kennedy, Massachusetts, second. For proposed in-ground pool landscape hardscaping for amended order condition. Recommend closing issue with the condition of a 3-year signed contract for monitoring and maintenance of all mitigation plans. And then the plan be updated, the word lawn be changed to artificial lawn, pervious artificial lawn, something along that lines.
And that would be through the agents will do that.
That's the correct term.
Yes, and do you
Yeah,
want?
with the sand base.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure we're clear. You want that on the plan of record to be approved through the agents?
Well,
Is
if
that-
we're gonna do
Yes.
a certificate of compliance in the future, we want to make sure it
Yep,
matches up.
absolutely. Okay.
Yep.
And on that same plan, location of the maintenance, where that's going to be? Because this plan doesn't show any location for the maintenance structure.
Oh, for the pumps, yeah, yeah.
And what about
Show
the,
that on the plan too.
and what about that retaining wall? What do we want to do about that?
We mean retaining wall that Dan just mentioned?
Yeah, in the recommendation, it says it may be necessary to incorporate a low-profile retaining wall as part of the hardscaping to ensure that all soils are adequately stabilized.
Well, it's showing a retaining wall on the plan,
It's there.
right, is that, yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you were talking about, Dan?
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure it was. And basically, when the retaining wall's going in, you're properly compacting the soils behind it, so there's no fill after it, basically. So that's what it comes down to.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not, I've built a 16-foot wall before. So I understand footings out of pure stone. Yeah, we got a good wall guy. We know walls.
All
Yeah.
right, go.
All right, so that's the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sandy. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion amongst commissioners before I call for a vote? We're good? Okay. Steve?
Yes.
Alex?
I'm abstaining.
Okay. Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thanks, you as well. Now calling the 6:03 hearing for 134 Shore Drive West, Stephen M. and Jill M. Purpura, proposed access stairs and bank stabilization, Representative Cape and Islands Engineering. This hearing is continued from June 29th and July 13th. It is an amended order of conditions, DEP file number 433209. Representative is Cape and Islands Engineering. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Isardi from Cape and Islands Engineering, representing the applicant, who is the property owners, the Purpura Farmery. Little brief history. The Purpuras bought the property a year ago, September 2022. One of the first things they wanted to do once they acquired the property was beach access. So last year, around December, we filed a notice of intent for the beach access for this property, and it was approved. During that process of the permitting for the beach access, it was noticed that another corner of the property on the coastal bank was eroding, and there was some mitigation of that erosion. 2 weeks prior to the contractor to install the shoreline stabilization for that eroding coastal bank, we had the December storm, which washed away a portion of the coastal bank and made the portion that was going to be targeted with the stabilization even greater. Drew issued an emergency certificate to expand the stabilization to the extent that it reached the bottom of the coastal bank. That portion has been done, but part of this amendment is to kind of include that expansion of the coastal bank stabilization as it was actually built. That stabilization was from the top of the bank, kind of midway down the bank. Today, it goes all the way to the toe of the bank. In addition to that, we understand that this commission doesn't like the idea of multiple orders of conditions open. So because we had a valid order of condition for the property, the homeowner wanted to take the next step on their improvements, which is the pool. They want to target the backyard of the property. So they want to redo the pool area and the decks on the back of the property, and also include the revegetation and removal of invasives on the whole buffer zone area. So for those who went to the site, most everything in this buffer zone is invasive species. Primarily is the Japanese knotweed, but there is some bittersweet. And to my surprise, even though this is at elevations like 18, there is Phragmites at those elevations. So the homeowner engaged with a consultant that specializes on eradicating this type of invasive species. And that specialist met with Drew on site, and they put a plan together for targeting these invasives. The whole restoration that is proposed for this buffer zone, it's calculated in the plan that was submitted as if everything is to be removed, but that is not the case. It is just that we couldn't, or the survey could not get into specific location to find what is native that could be saved. That would only be done after the invasives are treated. So once the invasives are being treated and removed and kept under control, at that point is when we know when there is something that is native that is going to be preserved. We do know there is cedar trees towards the south corner, and those are going to be protected. Those are going to be remained. But the numbers in the plan that was submitted includes as if everything was going to be replanted. There's a list of over 15 species to be planted in the entire buffer zone. And in addition, inside the pool area, there are 2 distinct color hatches that were shown. So the purple hatch is existing ornamental plantings and privets and flowering gardens that is going to be removed, and in its place is going to be planted with native species. Then in the green hatch, that is existing lawn areas and structures that is going to be removed and replaced with native species. The pool is the rectangle that you see on the screen, and then the brown, darker brown, is what we're proposing for pool patio and decks. In addition to all this, we are proposing to upgrade the septic system to a denitrifying septic system. Currently, there is a septic tank and a leaching pit in the front parking driveway area. The space is not big enough for accommodating a Title V septic system, but by removing the existing pool, which is like a bean shape type of thing, we can actually fit a Title V septic system in that area in front of the proposed pool. The proposed pool and all the proposed structures, decks and patios here are not in the 50-foot buffer zone. They're all located within the 50 to 100 and beyond. The entire structure, pool, and house are not in the flood zone. The flood zone ends up the coastal bank. So the project is essentially reconfiguring the pool, reconfiguring the decks and the patios, and then restoring the buffer zone and the native vegetation. We believe this is a major improvement in natural habitats and the environment as a whole by having the removal of all these invasives and the restoration of a native plant community. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you. I'll go to commissioners first for questions or comments, if you do have any.
Raul, did you see the green part is going to be all lawn? Or did you say it's going to be a
The
combination?
reverse.
Okay.
The green is currently lawn or structure that is being removed and replaced with native species.
Okay. And did you call out the specific species, or is it just going to be a?
No, the plan, there was a second plan included, which is the landscape restoration plan, and there is a list at the bottom left corner of that plan with all the species that are being proposed. So there's a count on that table, but the count will vary depending on what is salvageable once the other stuff is removed.
Well, is there a proposed length of time to determine what is or is not salvageable?
So the process mainly for the knotweed, it's probably a 3-year process. So you can expect that this order condition will be requiring or asking for an extension. It's not often that knotweed is completely controlled in the first 2 years. So there's a treatment that happens in the fall. Actually, I believe it's late summer, where it's more effective when you treat those particular species. Then there's a follow-up in the spring, and I think there's 2 more follow-ups. And I think 3 years is the time frame that kind of gets 85% controlled, and then new plants can come in. So we know that they want to start with the invasive part this fall, but most of the invasive is on the outside, or looking at the picture on the right side, which is the crosshatch outside of the fence for the pool enclosure. So that's where all that invasive is basically managed. There is some that's creeping over the fence. It's unavoidable. They do creep over, but most of the vegetation that is on the left side of the fence is kind of ornamentals, privets. Those can be managed because once they get in here with the machinery that's needed to remove the existing patios, the existing pool, the existing walls, and portion of the back of the house is being removed. Once they get in here, there's going to be heavy equipment. So this is going to be treated with heavy equipment. The good thing is that this land from the house slopes up towards the top of the coastal band before it goes back down. So any runoff from here doesn't go towards the ocean, comes back towards the golf course.
Yeah, I'm okay with this. My only comment would be, and maybe we condition this, but just, I like the diversity of native plants, but I just want to make sure that they're done right. Like, this plan doesn't exactly show you what's going where. So if you could just work with the staff to make sure that where you're planting them and what you're planting is favorable, and it's not just like all little grasses in this whole area and like little flowers and then kind of
Right.
skimping on some of the shrubs.
From my communications with the landscape architect and the homeowner, they do want some of the more flowering ones closer to the pool, which is understandable.
Sure.
But yeah, a condition such as prior to installation of the mitigation plantings, an on-site meeting with the agent.
Yeah, exactly.
to
Just
coordinate.
to talk through kind of what you're putting.
Right. When you do look at the counts, most of the counts are substantial, but again, it is a big piece of land.
Right.
But yeah, a condition like that is fine with us.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, you've got like hundreds, even thousands of types of grasses, and then you've got like some shrubs.
Right. The thing about the
So-
grasses is a 2-inch culms, so they're tiny, so there's going to be a lot of them, and
And their roots go deep, I know.
we do want the grasses on the bank.
Yes.
We don't want shrubs because they capture the wind and then they just topple down. So
Yeah.
a lot of the coastal bank, which is a good substantial area, is going to be grasses.
Great, okay.
Anything else? Sandy?
Well, I noticed that Lynn recommended that the bottom portion of the stairs be removed during the winter, off-season to prevent storm damage. Is that something that the homeowner would be agreeable to, you think?
The stairs are fixed right now.
Right.
I'll have to talk to the client because they're currently fixed. So if for them to be
Yeah.
removed, it's more construction access or construction in the bank. I'll have to review that with them.
And that's something that is just a recommendation
Right.
Okay.
as well. You know, I can just attest to that. I was down there. If you look at the two stairs, if you're on the beach facing the bank, look at the two stairs you probably have. I see your smile. So, yeah. So
They
I'll
get
just show you a
buried.
little more of that.
For those that know the area, the golf course has a long time beach nourishment
Yes.
program. And the stairs at the toe of the bank get buried. They do. And then here comes a storm and it exposes them again. That's the dynamic.
Yeah, maybe we deal with that where if the stairs get damaged, when they're repaired, it's not a fixed structure. It's something that can be removed. But for now, just
Like an aluminum 6-foot staircase
something,
that
yeah, that you can
hinges up or
remove.
something.
Exactly,
Yeah.
a hinge.
So yeah, I've seen them. In this case, what I would recommend if that condition happens where there's some damage and they have to ask for permission to repair it, is you cannot remove a 15-foot section unless you have a barge or some crane to come here like they do for docks when they remove the ramps. But manually, you can remove like a 6-foot section. And that section, it's typically aluminum because it's lightweight.
Yeah.
And it's about, a 6-foot section is about 10 threads.
Yeah, so just when it breaks.
Anything else? Just a question I have out of curiosity. I know that septic is not jurisdictional for the commission, but it is for Board of Health. Are they requiring nutrient calculations, BOH,
That
To
I'm not
meet-
too sure. I'm not
to meet
aware.
our regulation 31 or 30? Have you filed this with the Board of Health, the septic plan? system?
Not yet. We still have to finalize some of the details with the Board of Health. We feel the system meets all the requirements, both for the state and the local. We know the D-Night is something that is going to be tagged on this project, and we reviewed it with the homeowner. The homeowner is okay with having it done. But yeah, once we further review with the agent and the health department, whatever additional recommendation they have or requirement they have, we have to comply.
Yeah. The reason I ask, one of my interests is, as we go deeper along, for the benefit of the commission's knowledge, we're trying to get a handle on the various systems that are being proposed and what they come into as far as that end calc sheet, so that we begin to have a better understanding of systems when they're being presented. You know, which ones are the better ones and which ones, you know, could be better and so forth. But I know it's not jurisdictional for us on this project. It's a matter of information for the commission. Okay. I'll go out to the public if there's any questions or comments on what's been presented. We're good out there? Okay. Dan, I'm coming back to you for any final comments.
Real quick, Raul, it says hedges right here. Is that going to be a hedgerow? And if so, is that going to be native?
That's an existing privet hedge that's being removed.
Okay, thank goodness. That's what I want to check. All right. So proposed pool and patio improvements, IA system upgrade, invasive control, and revegetation buffer. Most of the proposed work is within the buffer zone located within pre-disturbed areas, hardscape, decks, pools, lawn, with the proposed septic upgrade outside of the coastal bank buffer zone. Unauthorized secondary pathway is starting to grow back in with Japanese knotweed. Homeowner was issued a fine for the violation and has paid it. Drew met with a wetland consultant hired by the owner to draft up an invasive species eradication plan, and that is in progress as we speak. Eroded area of bank has been fully stabilized and planted with beach grass. Stairway down to coastal bank does meet the performance standard for coastal bank and regulation 29. Agent recommends that the bottom portion of the stairs be removable during the winter off-season to prevent storm damage. Not a requirement, but strongly recommended. Agents recommend a close an issue with condition of submission of signed 3-year mitigation monitoring and maintenance agreement with a qualified professional, and the typical pool drawdown and no draining into a wetlands as well, which, as I said earlier, to Ken Masters is blanket now, so.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then. I would accept a motion, if there is one, and we'll go from there.
Chairman, make a motion for 134 Shore Drive West, Edenham, Jill M. Purpura, proposed as-stairs bank stabilization, and all instruction noted. So recommend close an issue with condition of submission of signed 3-year mitigation monitoring and maintenance agreement with the qualified professional. Pool drawdown to a pump truck and no greater pool water into the wetland resource at any time.
On site with staff prior.
You meet with staff for the planting mitigation plan.
Yeah, on site with staff prior to planting for placement and selection approval.
Okay,
I'll second.
so we have a first and a second. It's now on the floor for discussion amongst commissioners. Anything else that you want to add in, or good? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Steve?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
I vote yes as well, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have files for 606? Buccaneer?
It says continued
Just continue to serve.
to 9/7
I'm
at
sorry, I
6
didn't
o'clock.
see, I'm looking, my binder was empty. Okay, that threw me off a little bit. Now calling the 606 hearing for 45 Buccaneer Road, Christopher Hool, proposed reconstruction of front deck, stairs, walkway, and back patio, repair of existing retaining wall with improvements in site drainage, driveway repave and expansion with associated landscaping. Representative is the owner of record, Michael F. and Carol A. Hool. This is continued from June 29th and July 13th, and it's a request for determination of applicability. We do have an additional request to continue to September 7th, 2023 at 6 p.m.
Dan, do you know why?
I was just going to
They
ask
need more time to get
that engineer's plan. Yeah, because I didn't, right.
So we waste our time
Yeah.
waiting for them?
Yeah, we just
Okay.
got to hang out and wait.
Okay.
Okay, so I'd accept a motion for that continuance if there is one. Steve? Yes, thank you.
To
To 9/7/23 at 6 p.m.
yeah. I think Aaron seconded.
Second from Aaron. Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Steve?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Aaron? Sandy? And I vote yes as well, so we'll move that over to next month. Wow, next month is
No,
September.
that's a weird thought.
That was bad.
First time I thought of that.
Sorry about that, you guys. We'll move it to 9/7/23. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, on the 609 hearing,
Yes.
I don't know if I have two, in my 609 hearing, I have the 612 hearing. Just, I don't know if anybody have copies of this.
I have nothing for my 609. You might have mine. You have 2 copies.
I have, well, I have copies of 612. But Nothing in 609. I can do it. Do you have 609?
I do not.
No, okay. I have like 895.
Okay.
Well, and I can also share.
I have it electronically on my laptop.
I'll show
You're
you
going to
that.
share it? Okay. All right then. Good to go. Now calling the 609 hearing, 80 Punkhorn Point Road, James C. Atkins and John J. Weltman. Proposed additions to existing dwelling, septic amendments, and mitigation plantings. Representative is Cape and Islands Engineering. This is a notice of intent, DEP file number 433246. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mark Dibb with Cape and Islands Engineering, representing the owner of the property, John Weltman, for the property at 80 Punkhorn Point Road in Mashpee. We filed a notice of intent application for the project tonight, which generally consists of 2 additions to the existing dwelling and a sewer connection to a proposed garage that is outside of buffer zones. Just go through the existing conditions of the site. There is an existing dwelling on the site with pool and patio and some retaining walls. All these appurtenances to the site have been previously approved in the past. And the resource areas that exist on the site is we have Aquay Bay to the east containing land under the ocean and land containing shellfish. And then from there, as we move inland, there's an area of salt marsh, and then up a coastal bank to the property. Buffer zones are shown to that coastal bank. As well, there is a flood zone on the property that kind of runs along the area of the coastal bank. So the proposal is to add a small addition on the northwest corner of the site, which is closest to the coastal bank. It's a portion of that closest corner is approximately 21 feet from the bank. The other existing corner of the house is about 16 feet, so it is a little further away than other portions of the house. That's about a 190 square foot addition there, and then on the southwest corner, another small addition of 127 square feet. That's closer to almost out to the 100-foot buffer. And we're proposing dry wells to handle this additional roof runoff. There are already existing dry wells for the rest of the property. The site currently is served by an IA septic system already. And there is in the rectangle to the southwest, further on the site, which is a proposed garage, there is a future bathroom proposed. It's meant to be an unfinished storage or just like a workshop above it, but that'll be floor plans and things like that will be approved by the health department to connect to this existing system. It by itself is not an increase in flow, and again, it's future only. It may or not be connected, but it is shown on the plan if it does get built, and it'll meet the Board of Health standards. Due to the location of the additions, we did end up with some mitigation calculations, and we're proposing to further expand some already existing mitigation areas by removing lawn in those 2 green strips, just to be planted with more native vegetation and shrubs. And that essentially is the proposal. We do feel it does meet the standards from within the Wetland Protection Act and the Mashpee regulations, and feel it's worthy of a order of conditions. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Okay, I'll open it up to the commission for questions or comments.
No comments.
fine.
You okay? Yeah. Aaron, anything? My question is on the connection for the proposed garage to the septic. It may or may not, so there's absolutely no indication at the present time that this will be connected? I know it's on the plan, but
You know what,
I don't feel comfortable having something on a plan that may or may not happen.
I believe the connection will be made. It's whether or not the bathroom will be put into the structure. So yes, this will be connected.
It will be connected.
It just may be, capped inside the building. It would be done during the construction of this garage.
Okay. And in making the connection, does that indicate an increase in flow? Even though the bathroom hasn't been,
A bathroom within like a unfinished workspace of a garage that's not going to be considered a bedroom by the Board of Health
Right.
will not increase
won't
flow.
affect the-
Correct.
what is the flow rate for this piece of property? I'm just curious. How many? You don't have that in.
Yeah, I reviewed all the floor plans but I do not have that.
Do we have a previous order that would give us that information?
I might rely.
Because the tank would be jurisdiction for us.
Oh, yes.
It's inside the 50-foot buffer.
I believe it was put in as, the system was put in as part of the renovations back in 2017-18. It is an IA system. Number of bedrooms, I just don't have at this minute, unfortunately.
Well, we have the clarification that I wanted.
Okay.
It is going to be connected, but it's not going to be used at the present time.
Correct. In this connection, it will have to be reviewed by the health department,
Right,
so.
and if it does kick in an increase in flow, it would have to come back to us.
Yes.
Because the tank is in our jurisdiction. Okay.
The chairman mentions, and the Board of Health notes property is permitted in 6 bedrooms.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's, okay. 6 bedrooms, Title 5. So in terms of a discussion amongst us, an inspection would be required with the change of footprint. So this is a change of footprint, correct? I mean, we're putting a different footprint on the property. So I would think BOH would inspect that, right?
Yeah, I guess so. If you put 2 additions on the house and add a garage, so I guess the Board of Health is
Yeah.
looking for inspection.
Has this been run by the Board of Health so far, Mark?
I don't believe it's been submitted to them, but they've
Okay.
reviewed it for this. But
Right.
yeah, if they require an inspection, we'll do an inspection.
Okay. All right, I just want to tie up a couple of loose ends. Any questions from those in attendance? Hearing none? Dan, go to you for closing comments.
All right. So let's get right into the comments. So proposed construction of a 3-car garage addition, 2 additions to existing house, construction of landing and steps on southeast proposed addition, gravel driveway addition, dry well installation, and mitigation plantings. Proposed car garage and gravel driveway are out of the buffer zone and out of land subject to coastal storm flow. Proposed additions to the existing dwelling are in pre-disturbed areas within the buffer zone of the coastal bank. Mitigation plantings will expand existing mitigation areas within land subject to coastal storm flow, coastal bank, and salt marsh buffer zones. Additions will not create a detriment to the resource areas on site, and installation of dry wells will improve the stormwater management and reduce runoff into the resource areas. Agent recommends a close an issue with submission of 3-year mitigation monitoring and maintenance plan agreement with a qualified professional.
Thank you. All right. I would entertain a motion if we have one.
Chairman, make a motion for Dave Rutland, owners, proposed additions to existing dwelling, septic amendments and mitigation plantings, with no intent. And I recommend close an issue with the submission of signed 3-year mitigation monitoring and maintenance agreement with the qualified professional.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I think Sandy had the second.
Second, okay. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion amongst commissioners? Good.
I think so, yeah.
All right, then I'll call for a vote. Steve?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Aaron? Sandy?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Motion carries. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
That's the second plan that was,
Yeah.
okay, 612. I'm now going to call the 612 hearing for 108 Captain's Row, Nicholas M. and Kathy M. Guisto, proposed raise and replace embankment steps and deck. Representative is McAllister Marine Construction. This is continued from July 27th. It is a request for determination of applicability. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Mark McAllister, representing Kathy and Nicholas DeGiusto on this project. So pretty straightforward in general. The idea is to replace in kind the upper embankment, or what I call the embankment timber steps. Currently, I think it's dual 6x8 timbers each set. Currently, you can see in the photo, it looks like it's only 4 to 5 feet wide. The timbers are actually 8 feet wide going down the embankment. And then that lower deck is about 8 by 15. And then I think it was Drew went out and noticed, I think it was Drew. It wasn't you, Dan, right? I think it was
No,
Drew.
I went out for the first inspection.
Was it you? Okay, then we spoke, okay. And the 6x6 posts, let me start again. So the concept is, or we contend, rebuilding the same exact width. I understand current regulations, but the concept is if we can prune the existing shrubbery going down back, and the idea is to not disturb the embankment or disturb it as little as possible when we replace the timbers in kind with regular pressure-treated timbers. And then the same with the lower deck. The idea is to put new 6x6 posts in the exact same hole, same locations. So the idea is to no additional disturbance to what you see or what is there now. And that's the concept, really. There's not looking to reinvent the wheel, or so to speak.
Anything else you want to add before I open it up to discussion amongst commissioners?
I know on the plans I drew, I don't know if I had the 3/4 or the 65% penetration, light penetration, but that, sometimes I draw these things, and I've been doing this so long in terms of the construction that I don't put everything in the CAD. I have the CAD just to monkey around, not quite to Mr. Cook's level or anything, but I forget to put certain details like that in, but there's certainly the 3/4 spacing on the deck boards, or, you know, we're not proposing through flow, but it's 65%, right? Or, yeah, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So certainly, so the idea is to try to put everything back in the same exact spot as it is now and not have to disturb that embankment any more than we have to.
Okay, I'll turn it over to commissioners first for questions or comments that you might have.
Chairman?
Yes,
Yeah, I do
Steve.
have a couple issues with this application. One is there is no site plan submitted for the property to show any flood zones or anything else that's...
So I thought maybe that would be a question. So we did try to engage with an engineer, and just before the previous, we had to file with ZBA, so Christopher Corain is going to represent us with ZBA, because there's a structure within the 50-foot, right?
Yeah, the ZBA has to be for the railings, I believe. When I talked to the buildings commissioner, that was why.
Right, so that, yeah, on that lower deck, yeah, guardrails and et cetera. Yeah, the stairs going up the embankment at ground level. So I followed up on that, and I was not given a direct answer on to sit in front of you folks tonight that I was going to need a site plan. That the idea was to have them take care of that, and then once that was thrown back in our lap, I'm not a surveyor, clearly, so I don't know if that's a hard requirement. I understand is.
It is under regulation 25.
Okay, fair, yep.
And that goes hand in hand with my other questions. I understand that you're placing the 6x6 timbers in the same holes, but when you go into regulation 25, it mentions about any objects or structures in the flood zone must be properly secured. So if you had, this is a velocity zone. I was out there this morning, beautiful site, it's a velocity zone. So if you had wave action, that whole dock is going to be floating away. So, you know, and then is there a chapter 91 plan for that dock that you're attaching to?
So
Because your plan doesn't show it attaching to the dock, that's it either.
fair point. I was hoping the photos were going to complete that story, so to speak, and I understand that. I don't have the Chapter 91 permit. The homeowner says she does. I don't know if she has it in her file. Do you have that?
And then this is the last thing, under regulation 25, it says all structures must meet the requirements of state building code. So that railing show does not meet the building code requirements. You might get pushback from the building commissioner.
Fair. So my intent will be to put a guardrail. I don't know how far they're going to take. First time in front of Mashpee. I've been in front of Barnstable my whole life, and it doesn't tend to get into their bailiwick. So it's news to me. Not new, it was news a month or so ago. So if the building and department wants us to put a guardrail, or happy to do it. It's probably 4 feet in the air, but it is what it is. I get it.
Elevated, you know.
Yeah, so the
It's more
pier,
than
so
30 inches above.
so a question I would have is, the current pier, so if they want to rebuild the pier, is that in their bailiwick too, in terms of guardrails? Or, I'm not trying to be combative, I'm asking the question.
Well, I'm not sure, yeah, because okay, Dan would have that.
So when it comes to the railings and the guardrails, from my understanding, if it's 30-inch like fall or more, it has to have a railing.
Sure, standard
with-
building.
Yeah,
code,
standard.
That I get.
With it as well, it also comes down to the height of the railing. So in
Yep.
this situation, you would need it. I'm not too sure about the dock. The dock itself can be fluctuating between water and for the height, you know what I mean? So I don't know how the building stands on that. But for the deck itself, I did talk to the building commissioner, and he did stand firm.
And that's fair, because that's generally out of the water, and it should be seen as a deck. And I'm completely comfortable with adding guardrails as needed. I don't know if they're going to, if you would require, the 4-inch sphere spacing.
Yeah, that's the building code.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm actually a licensed contractor as well, but
You'd have to check with the building commissioner on that.
I'm just asking, yeah, I mean, if it's what he wants, that's what we'll do. I mean, happy to do it. Yeah, I just looking to just rebuild it in kind. So I don't know what we have here.
That was the letter, that was the last letter that approved the
Approved from the
license.
DEP? Okay. That's approved. This is the DEP from 1992. That's for the dock. We can get you a copy of this.
Is there a plan for that?
I have a couple of copies of a photo.
So the two things, the things I'd be looking for is, one is there's a current site plan that shows the flood elevation, and then, you know, if you're gonna change the 6x6 timbers into driven piles to keep it from floating away in the flood event, or change the design or something. The 6x6 is driven into that existing hole, hole. Stone event.
Use like a steel helical.
Yeah, it'll,
Technical.
something like that.
Okay.
So that's those my comments.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Do you have the scheduled hearing date for the ZBA? Is-
Yeah, he did get the September 13th. Is that the date?
Yeah, it was one of the second week of September. That's what I saw.
So
I have-
it's been
I have a
applied
copy of
for
it.
and it's scheduled, because you can't close out unless,
Yeah, it is applied for and scheduled. I confirmed this.
Yeah, Christopher Corain, who's going to represent us at the ZBA. I don't know. I guess it's the September.
as long as
Yes, it
it's
is.
applied for, you don't have to have a permit in hand, but you do have to have the application in for us to be able to,
Right, review, yeah, to be
Close
here
this out.
tonight, that's, right?
I confirmed with the ZBA.
You did, right?
I did
Okay.
confirm, so you're all
Yeah,
set.
I
You
have-
did-
yeah,
you
my
did apply
concern
for
on
it.
that's good. Or
Yeah,
else-
and Christopher Corain had a conversation with the building commissioner, and I think it was knocked down a level, but it still needs to go in front of ZBA. So full disclosure, the intensity level, this is new to me, so clearly we're missing a few things, understandably so. We did try, the site plan, I figured it would be a question tonight. We did try. We were quickly kicked, I don't know why, I wasn't given a reason, but I'm not going to name the engineering firm. But they're pretty well represented here tonight. Kicked us back, I don't know why. I just need a site plan. So if the plan is to vote not in favor tonight, we'll get you a site plan, or in the future, however you'd like to do it, I don't know.
So I think we can continue it. to give
Or
you
continue, I
time
don't
to
mean vote,
get-
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
doing continue, yeah.
Yeah,
And you want to see some anchoring on those posts as well.
yeah, just, better,
Yeah.
construction plan to hold up under a flood event, which is the velocity. If it was an A zone, I wouldn't worry as much, but that's the velocity.
Right there.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And it's going by the regulations.
No, yeah, I'm not arguing the regulations. Yeah, it's all good. It is.
Yeah, that's kind of fruitless.
So realistically, if we continue this, do you think by September 7th you'd be able to get a site plan, or should it be the following hearing?
I don't, let's look at what we
It
have
has to
at
be
the
September
7th. Are we filled on the 7th?
Or I'm asking him if he would get a site plan in time, because it could be the following one, right?
I'll certainly have to make some phone calls tomorrow, yes. Engineers don't work too quickly.
No, I know, so, I mean,
Is there any reason we can't go after ZBA? Because I'll have to, yeah, they need to design the helicals and so on and so forth, yeah.
You probably need a site.
what's the one after the 7th?
They may require one, yeah, yeah.
I would think they will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they typically ask for a site plan and building plan.
Our next meeting.
21st, September 21st.
So let's do September 21st at 6 PM, because there's nothing else on that hearing yet. Right? Or is there?
Yeah, we got one. So it would be 6:03 if you went
6:03.
if you went that route, yeah.
Exactly. And this way, you'll have ZBA done. Hopefully, our plan will be done by then. And
Yeah.
that work?
And what's the potential date on the CBA?
The 13th.
I think it's the 13th is, I don't know, I have his paperwork here, don't worry about it.
Yeah, if he doesn't have the site plan. And if he does, and we change anything, then he's got to go back to ZBA. I've heard them, any change whatsoever from us after they've ruled on it has to go back to them to be reconsidered.
So then let's aim for the
Let's aim
7th.
for
I'll
the
make some
7th.
phone calls tomorrow. I'll find out, and I'll keep in contact
That
with
would
Drew and Dan.
That would be smoother,
Okay.
just in case
I
there's
understand.
some
That makes-
change
yeah.
that we make.
Right.
Because now you're going back double duty, which is
I'm
stupid.
biting my tongue. We've done a lot of this type of construction, so this,
Yeah.
yep.
Hopefully, we can facilitate that then for we're going to go back to 9.
So Dan, yeah, what
Seven.
time are we at for the 7th?
The 7th would be 6:09.
6:09?
609,
I
site
can make this
plan.
motion if you want.
Sure.
And if you can't, you can't, but it's worth considering just to
I agree.
prevent a double step.
Yeah, well, I'll call my local engineer and
Get on the
who kicked
phone.
it down the road, and it's good. It's a good learning experience for me coming out of Barnstable. This is good.
Or awful.
Yeah, we really.
No, you guys, it's a pleasure. You guys are great.
We try to do a job.
All right.
All right, so we're at 97609.
Yep, so I'll make a motion.
I'd accept that if you.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to continue for 108 Captain's Row, the RDA for the DeJustos to September 7th at 6:09 PM.
Thank you, Steve. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion or comments before I call for a vote? None. Just to be clear, what we're looking for is the site plan
Site plan,
and stabilization of the posts on that deck.
better construction plans to meet the regulation 25 and
Yeah.
the state building code requirements.
Okay. You want the railing?
Yeah,
and
the-
everything?
showing the V-zone.
Yeah, railings,
Yeah.
structure.
I just want to make sure that you're clear as to why we're continuing.
I'm
what
following,
we
yeah,
Come back
I-
and see us
Yeah.
with, okay? We're good?
It's all good. Yep.
All right then. I will call for a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Sandy, yes, and I vote yes as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Good luck on the phone.
Thank you for the education.
6:12. Good to know. You get your homes. Keep
Yeah, can we-
it dry.
No, I really have tarps and sandbags in the truck.
You really?
Yeah.
Can I borrow some? I might need them tonight.
Right?
Okay, I'm going to call this, I'm going to call the 6:15 hearing for 167 Timber Lane Drive, George K. Regan Jr., proposed septic system upgrade. Representative is Engineering Works, Inc. This is continued from July 27th. There's a request for determination of applicability.
Good
Good evening,
evening. Peter McEntee with Engineering Works, representing George Regan. Basically, it's just a septic upgrade. There's an existing pit pretty close to the front property line. We're planning on putting a 500-gallon chamber in with 4 feet of stone, roughly in the same location, keeping it closer to the house so that there's less grading required closer to the property line. And we're proposing, we requested 4 variances with the Board of Health. They've been approved. We're proposing a sludge hammer unit be inserted in the existing septic tank. And all of the disturbed areas to be revegetated with native plantings. That's a change that I made to the plan based on recommendations by your department. And potentially 4 trees will need to be removed, at least 1 down gradient from the leaching system, depending on what kind of damage there might be to the root systems in the trees between the tank and the road. You can make a determination there. So if you have any questions.
Okay. Did we get the nitrogen calculation for this?
Yeah, that was one of the things that,
Yeah. Did we get-
well, I had submitted them a couple of weeks ago
They have
to
been submitted. 'Cause
Stacy Ducharme.
I don't see them. Here's one of these.
We did get them, yes.
We did get them,
And they worked.
as long as we have them. Because I know that was one of the holdups, that, the
Yeah.
mulch on the bank, and was another one.
Something new.
Is there a third?
So just gotta get used to it.
Regulation 30 finally became reality.
Right.
Yeah, we do have them.
We do have them.
I have read it over.
And they were acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll open it up to other commissioners for questions, comments, concerns.
I have a comment, sort of.
Sandy, sure, go ahead.
I When we went to the site, I noticed that nothing was tagged. I mean, there were no indications where anything was going, or it was just a...
Yeah,
Would it be
yeah,
helpful?
and that, you know, just due to my workload, that flashed across my screen when, and I thought about it, so we didn't stake out the property, so.
I think in our regulations, it says we don't have to make a determination without, if it's not. but
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
not
that's no
saying
problem.
We're going to do that, but
Yeah.
it was just a little annoying.
But everything on the plan is accurate in terms of the location of the tank and the chambers, and you're good with that?
Yes,
None of
definitely.
that is
Well-
subject to change?
Well, with the exception of the location of the existing leaching pit was taken from a as-built that was on file at the Board of Health.
Right. That's all coming out.
I'm sorry?
That's all coming out?
That's all coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to come out.
It's almost in the road.
If the as-built is correct, yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like the stone is, you know, in the road. so.
Yeah, when I was on the side, I looked at it and I thought, am I on the property or am I on the
Yeah,
road?
yeah. So, and we dug the test hole just down from that. We didn't hit any indication of the leach pit, so it's probably where it's
Yeah.
shown on the plan, you
Yeah.
know, so.
Is the reason for the siting of this, like, how can I say this clearly? Did you put it where it is because of utility lines? I'm just wondering why it's not more in front of the house and a
Well,
more disturbed area to begin with.
You know, we could switch it and put it over to the other side of the house, but then we disturb the, you know, we have to reroute the water line and, you know, replace the driveway. So would have to do either put a new tank in or do a 90-degree turn there with the
see.
piping to get over there. So, I mean, it was a consideration, but we thought that the area where the existing system is would probably be the best fit,
Okay.
so.
I know there's some good-sized root structure right on the surface. You could see them. So I'm a little doubtful that some of these trees are going to make it through the excavation that is
Yeah.
really necessary for the tank and the...
Well,
So in a worst-case scenario, if we lose them, where would the mitigation go?
well, I didn't propose any, well, I guess the mitigation could go,
Because that really drops off. I mean,
yeah, does drop off.
there's not a lot of room to,
Yeah, you're talking about mitigating with,
the loss of the trees.
yeah, like another tree, basically, yeah. I would say up in the front, you know, the northwest corner of the property. We're
Yeah.
21 feet from the leaching system to the edge of the property line. Yeah, so
Probably have enough room to get something in there.
I don't think it's going to require a strip out between the leaching system and the tree.
Right.
The strip out is mainly because we'll be encountering some of the A and the B horizon on the lower grades. Up in the higher elevation, we're going to get into a nice coarse sand anyway. So
Yeah.
I think, you know, any type of strip out's going to be over in the northeast corner of the leaching system, so.
Well,
Jim,
let's-
can I make a suggestion that?
Sure.
Since we not 100% certain which tree's gonna stay or not, could the applicant submit a planting plan after construction? Or you can see, okay, you know, with the site visit from staff, say,
You could, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
here's the trees that we have to take out, and then, okay, here's the new planting plan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
work
if
with
you want
staff.
to,
That condition.
you could put a
I know
condition
we-
on it if you want, sure.
Or there could be, I don't think we have any trees to the right of the driveway, but it's conceivable to the
Right.
right of the driveway.
Yeah, you got some room there. Okay. Those beech trees are all in trouble on that bank, and they don't look good at all. I mean, that's not part of this, but I have a high level of concern about blight on, it's not just on this property, it's everywhere. I mean, the beeches are really taking a hit.
There's, I think there's been, if you visited the site, you saw there was some debris that was, you know, thrown down there too, so that, you
Yeah.
know, obviously be removed
Yep,
during the construction.
good. It's always good to get junk out of there. Any other questions or concerns? None? I'd ask the audience out there, but there isn't one at this stage. I guess we left. Okay, Dan, I'll go to you for closing comments.
So proposed septic upgrade to IA system, nitrogen loading calcs must be provided. They were, so I read those. Area of proposed hemlock mulch should be planted with native ground cover in lieu of mulch. Agent recommends negative determination, issuance pending receipt of nitrogen loading calcs. So I will check those. If the commission goes through tonight, then I will check for those and get those sent out to everyone tomorrow morning. That's for certain.
I just have a question. And I apologize because I know the answer's in here. Is what's there currently accessible?
It's a leach pit.
So not
Well,
even?
It's a, 6-foot diameter, 6-foot deep.
Okay. So, but when people are complaining about all the cesspools around Santuit Pond, like this would be an example of one that's getting upgraded?
Technically, no. This is a Title V tank, correct?
It is?
Well, it's going to be, it's basically a lower profile leaching system. The pit is 6 feet high, this is 2 feet high, so.
So it doesn't meet the true definition of a cesspool. It's a Title V tank that's going into
So it does.
a pit instead of a leach field.
I see.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. It does have that holding tank, settling tank.
Right, because I know that the BOH has a database and they're, checking off every cesspool we can get out of town.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
This
Does
wouldn't
this-
be one of them. No,
this does
this is
not
a
count.
tank. It's a Title V tank. You're going to put the sledgehammer component in to make
Yeah.
it IA.
Yeah.
I
It's
see.
the field that is changing
I
from a
see.
pit to chambers.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
And there's been testing on the sledgehammer too, with the
Oh, there
removal
has.
of phosphorus.
You were the first person that mentioned it several months back, and it caught my attention.
Yeah, so I brought some information on phosphorus removal that they,
Really?
that they did with a lysimeter that they placed at various, a 6-inch depth, 12-inch depth, and 24-inch depth below the bottom of the leaching system.
Yeah.
And they did it with a conventional septic system and leaching system. They did it with a conventional septic system, leaching system, but with a sledgehammer. And then they did it with a sledgehammer with a drip dispersal. And I have the numbers here if you guys want to have copies of that.
I'd love to have a copy of that, if you have an extra.
Gives a comparison between.
It's all right, we have photocopies. Thanks.
We can share.
Every bit of share.
Great, yeah, that's,
You can see between the conventional and the ones with the sledgehammer is significantly reduced.
Yeah.
So,
I know the pond people will be interested in this.
yeah. So.
that's great.
Something to think about, and I'm sure there's more data out there, but.
Just talking about
Yeah.
phosphorus on the sewer commission this afternoon, so they'll want to see that.
Is this, as far as cost goes, I'm just curious, is this like the sledgehammer edition, is that like cheaper than, like?
Yeah, it is. It's significantly cheaper. The operational costs are less. It runs on a blower that aerates a bacteria that has to be refed every year.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really burn a lot of electricity by using the blower. And it can be inserted in an existing tank. So you don't have to take your tank out.
So this could be almost like the
It's
silver
also,
bullet.
it's also approved as a restorative too. So on a conventionally sized
Yeah.
septic system now under the design code from 1995, if the system is in failure, it's approved to be able to restore that system. So, yeah, because what it does is it generates the aerated bacteria and goes over into the biomat and eats all the anaerobic activity that's going on in the leaching system, causing the biomat, so.
And you said that has to be maintained on a yearly basis, the cylinder comes out? and refilled,
Well,
repacked?
the cylinder, the actual sledgehammer doesn't, it's just a proprietary bacteria that they use that it has to be refed every year and maintained twice a year.
Can a homeowner do that, like putting Red X down the toilet or something?
Yeah, well, they could, however, the DEP says it has to be a certified person,
Just to verify that it's been done.
Yeah, so basically, it's, It's a PVC, half-inch PVC pipe that has a little bag of bacteria that goes in a pouch in the cylinder on the sledgehammer. Yeah, and so it's a lot less expensive. I just put one in my own house just because we have a little accessory dwelling,
Sure.
and doing some my own experimentation on
So
it.
I'm so curious, can you give like just a range, like how much would that cost if I wanted to do it at my house about?
They're between $6,000 and $7,000.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on what unit you get.
Yeah.
And there's
Right.
2 more units that are being tested right now at the testing center, which will be concluded in September, so.
But are you saying that this turns a regular system into an IA system?
It is an innovative technology, yeah. So-
Yeah.
But it can convert one that's already there into.
Yeah, right, you don't, this can be retrofitted to your existing
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Not very invasive at all, actually.
Yeah,
You know,
so-
You don't have to rip up the whole yard.
Right, so that's kind of the beauty of it, so.
Well, Peter, we've come a long way. I know a year ago you sat there and said to me, well, I'm not going to put, I used to ask for these, and you said, well, I'm not going to put it in because there's no regulation that we have to.
Well, only because
good that
of
we
the
are.
hardship that it causes
Sure.
the homeowner, and,
Yeah.
it's a lot of money.
It is.
So, $5,000, $6,000 is a lot of money, so.
It's way better than
Better than
30.
30, yeah, right, so it's,
Yeah.
so I think, and that's not to knock the other technologies, because they all perform very well, but,
Yeah, it's not one size fits all, it
Yeah,
depends.
yeah.
But I know I stood on the shore of Wacoya Bay yesterday, and wow, I mean, you can't even see the bottom from the shore. It was just,
I know.
in Wacoy Bay?
yeah.
Really?
A lot of runoff from the rainstorm that we had.
Oh,
All
yeah,
the shell
yeah.
fishing in town was closed down completely. We've got a big job on our hands.
Yeah.
Same thing over Katuah.
Yeah.
So yeah, any rain event over 2 inches, it has to be shut down to shell fishing by state regs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a huge rainfall.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Hopefully not tonight.
So it was a good test for Ken Marston's project.
He looked a little relieved. I saw him tonight. Okay, no further questions, comments? I would entertain a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, make a motion for the negative determination on the RDA for 167 Timber Lane Drive, George K. Reagan Jr., proposed septic system upgrade. And with the condition that a revised planting plan be provided in a consultation with staff during construction and after construction, see what trees will be removed.
In the event necessary?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Since that's an up in the air question right now.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
Second, but I do want to clarify, I don't think the planting plan needs to be like an engineered plan. It can be just like worked out with staff on it, like over
Yeah,
that
yeah,
plan,
it's a
right?
plan.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like,
Yeah, usually what I do is I'll show up to the site when they're digging the hole to see how the roots are.
Okay.
Because at that point, I can pretty much tell if the tree needs to go, because I'm not going to let it stay if it's only going to last 2 or 3 more years.
right, okay,
So.
great.
Okay. Any further, thank you, Alex. Any further discussion on the motion that we have? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Steve?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Sandy? Yes. I vote yes as well. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Have a good night.
You too.
Stay dry.
Dan, can you pass the thing so we can start signing?
The longest ones are going to be the COCs.
And do I have to read this?
No.
No?
No, no, it should be good.
All right, well, just for knowledge, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 6 certificates of compliance that have been applied for, and every one of them have passed. They've all been inspected by our agents, and those are the certificates that you're signing along with tonight's approvals for NOIs and amended order of conditions and RDAs, okay? And unless, Dan, is there more you want to inform us about those few issues you mentioned on the updates, or?
No, I just got confirmation tonight that the Red Brook,
Excuse me, Nick. This one here doesn't have an address on it.
that is 80 Punkhorn.
80 Punkhorn?
80 Punkhorn Point, yep. So the Red Brook culvert does have funding for the planning and permitting of the culvert itself. We had a meeting to go over the restoration, so we made a team partnership with Wacoit Bay, DCR, basically, Town of Falmouth, Town of Mashpee, and some neighborhood associations around Red Brook. And they have agreed that they want to sell the property. So we don't know if the town's going to take it or what, not yet, it's still very early. But then the other half on Falmouth side, I just talked to the landowner today, and he agreed he wants to get it off his hands, quote, immediately. So that's a very good news, because if anyone in Wacoit DCR, anything involved in the partnership owns the property, we could put it right into the wildlife refuge. And then also we can go ahead with pursuing the restoration there.
Perfect.
So that'll be fantastic. We have some design things that the neighborhood wants, but nothing that can't be accommodated at all. So that's very good news.
Yeah, terrific.
Upper Quashnet, stakeholders are still being scheduled with Horsley Witten for the 50% design phase. The Santuit and Johns Pond milfoil, the timeline is for fall this year to be applied, for the herbicide to be applied. So that is a very good thing, because if you haven't been to Santuit Pond especially, it is horrendous right now with 2 types of invasives, and there's 3 in the whole pond in general. So hopefully that will be nice. If you go over to the Fish Ladder Dam, it's literally starting to choke out the rocks now. It's coming out of the water, so it's getting pretty intense. So again, Chop Shake Bog, they changed, officially DEP changed the status of the bog from a river system to an isolated vegetated wetland. So now permitting for that is proper, and we can go through.
Good.
Yeah,
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 that was
That's
a
good
hang
news.
up.
that was a headache.
That was a fly in the
So,
ointment.
yeah, I think that's about it. The heron are starting, they're still heading down the ladders, the juveniles and the babies. So yeah, that is it for the updates.
The only thing I have to add.
Wait a second, no. I have a question. Sorry, Chairman. Is this saying that the land acquisition subcommittee is not going to happen? What is this saying for that item?
Land acquisition, so, EOC meeting this Wednesday, July 26th.
That is a typo from the last hearing. So, yeah, I'll
Because
look
I
into
think we still need to be having the land acquisition subcommittee. I think we need to start it, be having those meetings to then elevate items to the EOC. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
There was some introductory discussions about this at the July 26th. That was the very first meeting. It was kind of an organizational meeting.
Yes.
We talked about priority issues.
Yes.
That being one of them, but there was no definitive decisions made about anything other than discussing land acquisition with the commission and, was it the land trust?
So I think the way I envision it happening is we create a land acquisition subcommittee. We have members from the land trust, the tribe, various groups to represent in that meeting.
Yep.
That's the group that can then say, like, elevate things to EOC and say, this is what we're working on. But I don't see EOC working directly on that, as there is a lot of environmental oversight issues that they certainly can, but I don't see them getting into the weeds on that. I see that as a special subgroup. Okay.
All right.
So if we can just get a date, Dan, just give me a date. And if we get a date, I will help spearhead the meeting. You don't have to do anything other than maybe take a couple notes.
All right.
Just take a second, check my calendar.
Yeah.
The next EOC meeting is August 30th at 6 o'clock. So if you could meet prior to that.
Right, that would be good,
that
because then
way
we can
when-
have something to
when
report to
we meet with
you.
EOC again, we could have some definitive things to present to them as to the model that
Yes,
we'd
so,
like to see followed.
yeah.
So any day between the 21st and the 25th, one of those days, that week, basically.
Yes.
I think I can start organizing that tomorrow, once I
Okay.
check out my calendar and all of our calendars in the office.
Yeah,
That should not be a problem.
let's loosely shoot for the 22nd.
I think it's a Tuesday, but
So
we
is
can be in contact about that, and I have,
So as a matter of clarification, it's a subcommittee
yes,
of Concom? that you-
yes.
Okay.
And I asked Drew last time, and he thought it was fine to invite people from other groups into it,
Okay,
so,
so you're going to head that up with Dan?
yes.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right, and I'll notify David Whedon, and
Okay.
he can
Yes.
put that on the agenda for the
Perfect.
30th, if that all turns out. Okay?
Alex, I'd love to be part of that.
Good.
There's space.
Yes, no, it can't be just me, so I like that, Erin.
And there was one other thing. I have a scheduled meeting on August 17th at 1 o'clock at the septic test site over in Joint Base. I'm going with a fairly large group of people. I think there's about 20 of us that are going.
What are you doing?
Sue Dango from the Mashpee Wakeby Pond Alliance set up a tour with Brian over there, and we're going to go through the whole facility and look at everything that they're doing and testing, so that should be very informative. Did you sign up for that, Sandy?
I went last year.
You went the last time.
Can I go with you that day?
I don't know if it's filled or not.
Might be, yeah.
You know what I can do? I'll forward you Sue Dango's contact and check with her, because she organized it. She knows how many slots there are. But I know there are several people coming up from Woods Hole, and there's somebody there from a television program that's doing some interviewing, and it's a pretty big
My friend's
visit.
father was over, George Whitholder, so she could take me over maybe for that time, or I can't get on that one.
I'll get you Sue's contact and check in with her on that. Okay. Anything else?
Do you have the minutes? Do you have a majority for the second group minutes?
Uh,
You don't have them,
Me,
right?
Alex, Sandy. I still only have 3 people.
Great, you need four.
I need 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll still have to keep that tabled until our next meeting.
Then I make the motion to adjourn.
Well, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, too. Any questions on that?
We did it before 8.
Look at that. I did it.
You did it.
Oh, wait a second, we haven't voted. Sit down.
Did you second?
Steve?
I seconded.
And there was no discussion. Your vote, Steve?
Yes.
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 Dan?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Meeting adjourned.